Right, so I had the possibly rather silly idea that in memory of my grandmother, whose funeral we would be heading off to in a few days, I would, until that time, plant a few trees that are in her garden in the UK. There is limited overlap between the trees that will grow in the UK and will grow in Zambia, but this is one of them. So this is Bay Laurel, which should be Laurus nobilis, I think, and my grandmother has quite a large one of these just behind her shed. And in Europe, there's a tendency to clip them very dense. They are slow-growing trees, so when they're small, it often makes sense to sort of make them look neat and tidy because they'll be quite small, and sort of clip them into a globe or a small shrubby, dense shape, which then means that if they get big and you carry on that habit, it's impossible to plant anything much underneath them, which I don't really like those sort of hyperdense lollipop trees anyway, and certainly I spent quite a lot of time pruning hers to open it up, allow a little bit more light through so that more gardening could happen underneath, because a big dense bay laurel is quite a sort of swamp to the light of a garden. But anyway, so this is going to be clipped to that eventually, but currently it's in its very straggly, very young phase, and because I'm going to be keeping it open, it should be quite possible for this little lavender, which is going on the afternoon side of it, so to the west, that should be quite happy under here for quite a long time. This is a non-flowering one, I believe. This does tend to do okay here compared to a lot of lavenders, although they are quite drought resistant. I do find I'm very able to desiccate a lavender beyond its tolerance in our climate. Also, we do tend to have quite acidic soils, and actually one of the reasons I haven't planted anything here already is because this is an area where there's a lot of old building waste, which does mean the soil is a little bit more alkaline. It also means it's harder to dig, but that should actually be better for things like the lavender and possibly even the bay laurel itself. Another reason I hadn't planted here before is because this is a very windy section, so it does tend to dry out, so I will be putting some pieces of the Dracaena reflexa immediately behind this. Probably won't stay in there long term. Once I've got this sort of area up and quite dense, and there's not so much a concern of this drying out too fast if the wind comes through, then they will probably be propagated away, but for the meantime they should form a nice screen just close to the base, keep the base from drying out too much, and there's a few aloes around, should be coming up, should be filling out and doing that over the next few years anyway. And that should be everything for today, so thank you very much for watching. I hope you have enjoyed it, and if you haven't enjoyed it, thank you for watching anyway. Please tune in again tomorrow. I will be planting something else. I have some options, and I will decide what tomorrow.